Hello, 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 hello. Now it's working. Now it's working. Hello, fine folks, and welcome to Booghy Plays. Today we're not playing anything, although I have some thingies around. I am playing with questions. I'm doing an interview today. And my interviewer is one of the designers of one of the games that is in my top 10 of all time. And if you have seen my top 100, you probably know what that game is. And if you don't, that game is 51st State Master Set, and 51st State, doesn't matter which version. So and a designer that has a publishing company that says that they publish games that tell stories, and this is a thing I always enjoy in games. So it's a very big honor to have with me today Mr. Ignacy Trzewiczek. Welcome,
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Ignacy. How are you this fine morning? How's this fine morning in Poland?
It's 10 a.m. or 10:30 a.m. Slowly started. It's a holiday day today in Poland, so I'm not going to work. I'm in my cottage house, just chilling out and preparing for an amazing weekend.
Oh, that it's not a bad day then.
Yep,
How's the atmosphere going with this new president?
it's difficult.
It's difficult. I can understand why. Um, we skipped a bullet here. Hopefully, though, it's going to be fine for Europe and for all of us, because yeah, Poland is an important uh, part of Europe and an important part of what happens right now in Europe.
Correct.
Um, but today we talk a bit about board games and board gaming um, and what it is to be a designer, a publisher, and so on. But first, I want to start. You do a lot of things. You publish, you design, you do podcasts. We're gonna get into all of those. Um, uh, in football, we have a saying here in Romania: you go and take the corner, and then you go into the box and you hit it with the header. Uh, I'm going to start with all the way. We're going to go all the way back in the first part of the interview, and I'm going to ask you where are you born and where did you grow up?
I was born in Katowice. It's the south of the Poland, a region called Silesia, and I was growing up in a small city in the south of the Poland. Called Dąbrowa Górnicza, which is a very, very small town. And in this town, I founded a role-playing game club in the city, and there was like a bunch of us playing role-playing games, and
Don't
this is how
hurry, don't hurry, don't hurry. We're going to get there. No, don't jump ahead.
that's how it started.
Don't jump ahead. There is no need to hurry. Um, before we get there, I would like to know a little bit more about your childhood because you know what they say: a childhood shapes a person's life one way or another. It's a huge. It has a huge influence on each and every one of us. What did your parents do? What were their professions?
My mother was a teacher, and my father was an entrepreneur. He had a small company, so
What
uh,
did he do? What did the small company do?
mm, I don't know how to say it in English. He was like mm, he was growing fruits, I would say, but it is not like I don't know how to explain it
Yeah,
in English.
yeah.
But there was fruits and vegetables involved. He was growing them, selling them to the stores, something like that.
So
Like a farmer, but it is not the true. But like the closest word in English that I know would be a farmer.
Yeah. I can understand it. Uh, so, was it you grew up in communist Poland? You had um if for people out there, I'm gonna just go a bit through history. Poland was the country that managed to to hit the to take down the wall. Everything started from Poland practically, with the Solidarność movement and all of that happened. Um, what you are, I believe you are born in the 70s, right?
Correct?
So you are a child of the 80s, more or less. That means you grew up in communist Poland. Were you? Did you have that possibility? Was it, for example, in Romania, you are not allowed to be an entrepreneur? Was this a possibility in Poland back then?
No. It's 89 is the moment when we have the freedom. So up to 89, you were not able to do that.
You are unable to do that. So that was one of the few things. Growing fruits and vegetables were one of the few things that you could do entrepreneurish. What?
This is exactly what you are saying. This is entrepreneur-ish. So this is like not being like having a real company and being like in a today's terms being boss of the company. You were just doing more or less legal or illegal stuff, just growing stuff, selling to stores, getting some money. But
Try.
these are the dark times, and
Yeah.
mm, uh, people who were not living in mm, eastern countries will never understand the reality, because for them it's like a dark science fiction novel. So I think it is impossible to understand how these 80s looked like in Poland or Romania or other eastern countries. Mm, uh, People were just trying to survive in a very, very dark
It
spaces.
was, yeah, it was a pretty dark time. Uh, so in those times, as a child, though, your parents, as my parents, were trying to survive, and yeah, see the end of it. They were all party members. They had to be party members. It was just, yeah. Who wants to read 1984? You'll probably find a lot of similarities, and you can. It was almost like that. Um, as a child, though, how was it to grow up in a small town in that time in history?
Luckily, I don't remember much. I was a kid, so I was just playing, football. We had one ball among all of the kids on the block, and we just played ball. And of course, when you can compare childhood from the kids from the Eastern Europe from with the childhood of the kids from the Western Europe or from the United States, of course, it's a completely different childhood, as we discussed with the people in the industry when they say they play the board game, they have Risk and all these amazing board games. We didn't have board games. In the communist time, they had TV shows and cinemas, and we didn't have much of that. So basically, I don't remember much. This is good. I remember just everything was grayish, everything was boring. But if you're a kid, you don't care. You just go outside, play with the ball, and don't understand much. Of course, you would have to interview my parents or your parents that they were actually living and trying to
Yeah,
make it.
I,
For me, it was just a chill town being as a kid. And then when I was a teenager, it is 90s, and in the 90s we already have a freedom. We already have a we are opened for the Western. We get the Russian kicks off from Poland. My father is starting the real company, and everything changes. And from my childhood, from my teenager years, I remember a lot of good stuff and playing games finally, and watching science fiction movies finally, etc., etc.
I find it. Yeah, after 1990, um, or 89. Um,
89.
yeah. So, but so well, most of the playing was outside, right? Playing football as much as you could, and
Yep.
everybody dreamed of being a footballer one way or another.
There was not much to do at home back then. We didn't have video consoles. We didn't have DVDs or whatever. So we were spending the whole day outside playing ball or playing other stupid child games.
Okay. In when you were little, what were your main interests in school? What were you interested in?
As every single kid, I loved sports when I was a kid because every kid loves it, and I was pretty good at math. I would not say that I loved mathematics, but I was good at it. So at least it was the one part of the school that was not troubling me, and I was pretty easy with this segment of education.
uh, so you are pretty good in math. When you were starting from, did your parents pushed you towards the maths? Your parents pushed you towards doing, I don't know, something towards that had math, or your I suppose you did high school there in your hometown, right?
Yes, there was no push whatsoever from my parents. I was in a high school and I was doing whatever I wanted. That means I played board games, I played role-playing games, and so never I got any push, and my parents were just waiting for me to figure out what I want to do, and I figured out what I want to do many years later. So for the
Yeah.
teenager years, I got full freedom to do whatever I want.
Well, a pretty good thing to have the freedom to find who you are and towards where you
There's a
want to
risk.
go.
There's a risky if you're a parent to not push a kid in any direction because you have to have a trust that they will find it. And my parents were patient enough that at some point I finally find what I want to do with my life. But it was lucky for me.
Yeah. So you were talking about finding board games. Practically everything happened after 89 when everything from the west starting going into the east. uh,
Correct.
to you even faster because you had a direct border with Germany, unlike Romania, which is farther east, where things got. It took us a few years, a lot of years in some cases, for some things, to get to get to us. You had a direct border with Germany. You could cross now into Germany easier. Life was a tiny bit better, let's say, for you after the 89s, and we can see it now. What's the GDP of Poland and so on? It helped you grow. When did you start finding board games? What age did you?
Uh, Yeah, so it is exactly the case that I had some German Ravensburger board games at home that were sent in a package from Germany, whatever. So like there was like 2 or 3 games at my home, but back then there was not much anything else, and we didn't have board games. I didn't have board games for a long time. We had some early 90s. There was some first board games published in Poland. I bought them obviously because there was a these were board games. It was super interesting. But soon after, in 1993, this is 4 years after Poland got freedom. In 1993, we have a release of the Polish magazine about role-playing games. I buy
Okay.
this magazine and I start learning about role-playing games, and I got sucked into it. So even though there is 4 or 5 board games released back then, in the 90s, I'm all in role-playing games. So for the whole decade, the whole 90s, I don't play board games. I play only role-playing games.
RPGs. Um, so, uh, what age? I don't know, 15, 16, something like that.
Yep,
So,
teenager.
teenager. Um, and you got hooked practically. Um, in the did you have a group there? Did you there were more players that you have there, and did you meet regularly? Did you spend, I don't know, weekends, things like that when you were 15, 16, doing things like that?
I got my friends from my classroom, three of them who were interested in science fiction and fantasy. And so we were already reading fantasy novels, and then I discovered role-playing games. Presented these role-playing games to them. They loved it, and then we played twice a week after school. We played
Oh.
Warhammer role-playing game and other role-playing games, and it was my whole high school. I was playing RPGs twice a week. And then I moved to the other city for a college. And in this new city, I founded a role-playing club as well because I wanted to continue playing role-playing games. And then I played role-playing games. So, like, since 1993, for the whole decade, I was just playing role-playing
Role
games
playing
over and over again.
RPGs. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you moved to university, what did you study?
I was going to be engineer for the environment, protecting environment. I spent there 4 years. I finished the fourth year, and I decided to drop the college and found company, Portal Games. So I never finished the college. After the fourth year, uh, I decided it is super boring. I will be terrible engineer. I have no fucking clue what's happening in this college, and I decided I need to drop it because it's a last moment to not become engineer. And I told my parents that I'm going to change my plan for the life and I want to start a game company.
That was um, a bold move. Um, you are so you're speaking about doing 4 years. As far as I know, I think it was the same. It was 4 out of 5, right? You
Correct.
you had one more.
And here in Poland, the fifth year is basically nothing, just to write the work. I mean, you have a couple of classes, but basically fifth year is just easy peasy. Just finish the
Yeah,
write the
yeah.
work, the paper, and get graduated. So there was not much work to do. So, but if I write this paper, then I am graduated and I'm official engineer, and this is my career. So it was the last moment to say no. I don't want it to be my career.
Uh, yeah. uh, Not necessarily. You don't need to. You might. There are a lot of people with a lot of degrees that don't don't use their degrees. Um, uh, so you had this change of heart. What made you? And let's go somewhere between high school and university, or in university, you had this idea of probably designing, right? Uh,
Be honest, no. Like it was too early. So I was just a game master. I was running adventures in a Warhammer, and in a college when I needed the money, as every student needs money. I decided that I will write an adventure for Warhammer and send it to the magazine to publish and get some money for that. And luckily, they liked what I wrote and they published and they paid me money, and I like it a lot. So I wrote more articles about Warhammer role-playing game, and they were all published. I was paid. I became famous because these articles apparently were very good. People really liked them. So I became a famous writer when I was at the college. So that's why after the fourth year of the college, I knew that I'm pretty famous writer for Warhammer in Poland, and I'm a terrible engineer. So that was my idea that I felt that maybe I can make it for a living, just writing about role-playing games and writing role-playing games because I'm good at it. And that's why I convinced my parents that I'm much better writer than engineer.
I I see. So you you went on building a company. What was what did you think? Because You know, these days everything is so engineered that when you want to start a company, they ask you, what's your business plan? What do you think for 5, 10 years from now, and so on. Usually businesses should start out of heart and putting a lot of heart and soul and a little bit of brain. um, I suppose you started, I want to do this, never had a business plan or things like that. What went through your head?
Absolutely, absolutely. I was a stupid. I was stupid kid who just dreamed to do role-playing games instead of being engineer. So I had a business plan that collapsed after 4 weeks, so it was completely stupid. But my basic idea was that the magazine about role-playing games that was published in Poland, where I was publishing articles, my idea was that it sucked and I can do better, and I can do better magazine. So I came up with this idea that because I'm a already famous writer about role-playing games, when I announced that this famous writer is creating a brand new magazine about role-playing games that will be better than the one that exists, I will be successful. And that was my idea for the business. I started writing articles for this new magazine. I asked my friends to write articles for me as well. And we published the first issue of magazine. Of course, the sales were terrible because I had no
This
distribution. I had
exactly.
no knowledge about anything. So I had 1,000 copies printed, and like I don't remember the numbers right now, but let's say I printed 1,000 copies and I sold 100. So basically, it was terrible. So I lost all the money after the first issue. And then I did the second issue, and then I did the third issue, and I was working very, very hard to promote. I was visiting different conventions, I was visiting stores, I was working my ass hard to promote, and slowly, slowly, slowly started to get back some money. So there was technically there was a business plan, but it was completely stupid and unrealistic, and it was just passion project. Luckily, I was really, really good writer, and luckily, people wanted to read what I was writing. So issue after issue, month after month, the magazine was getting more exposure, and more people were talking about it. And at some point, it was a real company.
So the company was based practically on a magazine.
Correct.
Uh, right now, Portal Games is not. I don't know. I don't think you have a magazine anymore.
No longer, no longer. We over the whole history of the company, we had three magazines because I love magazines, and I find myself as a writer mostly. So we did Portal. That was the name of the magazine. It was we released 17 issues before it was closed because it was not selling good enough. Then we did Star Pirate. That was another role-playing game magazine, but it was different than the first one. We released like I don't know 30 or 20 something issues, and we closed it because it was the time when Portal Games moved to the board games. So we had no time to write about role-playing games anymore. And then when we were in a board games business, I did World of Board Games magazine for Polish market, and we released like 30 issues as well. And then we closed it because there was too much with the magazine and not enough money from it. So we decided we need to focus on creating board games instead of creating magazine that doesn't bring a lot of revenue. So over the 25 years of the company, I did 3 times magazines. I love them all, but none of these magazines brought enough money to survive.
To sustain. Yeah. So, when did you, in this period, when did you discover what we call today modern board games, and what was the game that triggered your attention?
Yeah, it was early 2000s. Somehow I learned through the internet about board games. I was still very deep into role-playing games. I was writing role-playing games, very successful in Poland. We were making money from role-playing games. But I learned in the internet that there are board games, and maybe it's interesting. And I ordered it from I think Germany. because there was no board games in Poland, so I had to order it from other country. So I heard about this famous game by Bruno Faidutti called Citadels. So I wanted to buy it. So I ordered it from the internet. Mm, uh, when I received the package, it turned out that because my English was terrible back then, so I made a mistake, and instead of ordering Citadels, I ordered Kingdoms because these words were too similar for me back then. So I got a game called Kingdoms by Rainer Knizia. I was very disappointed because I wanted Citadels, but the Kingdoms turned out to be awesome as well. So I was very happy to play Kingdoms, and it was my first modern board game. Then, after I loved the Kingdoms, I ordered Citadels. That was my second more modern board game, and I loved it as well. And then I started buying board games, modern board games like crazy, investing my whole money for building my collection. And that was the start of the big change for the whole company. And a few years later, we stopped doing role-playing games, and we made shift to make whole time only board games.
Only board games. Um, when the idea of designing came onto you?
I said it in many interviews. Like my first board game is quite a mysterious story. Mm, uh, Mysterious because I'm an atheist, so I don't believe in a God, and I don't believe in uh, some spirits and stuff like that. But technically, it was Christmas Eve, a very important date for the Christians.
Yeah.
I had zero board games at home. I had zero knowledge about board games. I was only doing role-playing games, and out of nothing, I just was browsing some video game magazine. I saw a picture of the video game, and I said to myself, that would be a cool board game. And I created during the Christmas, I created this board game called Machina, with no knowledge about board games and without any board game in my collection. I presented in the company in January after Christmas, and people in the company loved it, and we published it, and it was very successful. So it's very mysterious. Like there was no knowledge, no tradition, nothing about the board games in my life, and I created out of nothing a board game, and it was super successful and brought lots of money. And I was like, that's interesting. And then I started thinking about designing more board games, and here I am now, 20 years later.
I see. So it was a Christmas miracle.
It was once again. I'm an atheist, but it was really very suspicious stuff.
um, there was God works in mysterious ways. Yeah, so let's get a bit deeper into this designing thing. So you found this out of wedlock, if you wanted, pure coincidence. What so the game was successful in Poland, right? You made this game, you published it in Poland. If you look in on BGG, I think the first game that is shown there is Stronghold, but that was
Stronghold was my first English language game.
English
Yes,
language game. Until then, until uh, probably is the game that got your attention the most, got attention to you the most, since internationally, let's put it,
yes.
2009. Now we are if we think about 2009, we have around 15 years now since 1995, when in the world the modern board gaming industry started to flourish, let's say. So things are starting to grow in Germany, is well settled. We have Essen for, I don't know, 20 odd years then, yeah, close to 30. So how many designs until you started publishing these did you put aside? Did you not publish?
Zero,
Zero?
zero. Like, I mean, I had some ideas for the games, but I never started doing them. When I here in the company at Portal Games, my co-founder Michael Oracz was my closest friend, and so we had discussions when we start doing a game, it must be finished because we need to finish the game because this is our revenue, this is how we make for a living. So there was no case for the whole 25 years of the company that we started doing a board game and we dropped it. Like we couldn't afford it. So there was no situation that there is some prototypes somewhere that I started and dropped. No, if I started the designing game, it had to be finished and published. Of course, there was some adventures around that with some projects. There was a lot of issues with such an approach. But yeah, when we were deciding that we are doing a game, a year later, this game was published.
I see. So, um, were then back then any designing books coming to Poland? Any material that you could read about
No, no,
designing?
no, no. Absolutely, absolutely no. Like here in Poland, I got quite a respect here in the industry, and I always say basically I was the first person who was just inventing everything. Like there was I was the first Polish publisher who published a role-playing game in other language than Polish because we created an amazing role-playing game called De Profundis, and that was after releasing it in Polish, we sold the rights and did it for English and Spanish and German, and it was the first time in the history of Polish industry. And then I was the first publisher who invited a foreign guest for the Polish convention. It was never happened before, and then I invited James Wallis from United Kingdom as a special guest to our convention. There was no board game magazines. I was the one who did the first board game magazine. There was no board game conventions. I was the one who created Pioneer. That was the first and the biggest Polish board game convention for many, many years. There was 20 editions of this convention. Like there was no Polish company, board game company who was going to Essen. I was the first guy who decided to buy a booth at Essen and go with the Polish board game to Essen. There was no Polish board games released in America. I was the first guy who did it with Neuroshima. So basically, because I started very early and I basically started the whole industry, like we are talking 1999, when I started the company, there was no board game scene whatsoever in Poland. And everything I was doing, nobody else did it before me. So I was my whole career, my whole 25 years of working was doing something that nobody did. And then my friends, fellow competitors, other publishers were going after me, and then we had other designers, we had other publishers visiting Essen, being successful. I was the first publisher from Poland who did the Gen Con. I was the first publisher from Poland who got a golden gig, like etc. etc. So I was always in the front of doing something new and revolutionary, and I was always looking for the new challenges. So no, there was no books, nobody that I could look at and learn from him. I was always testing, testing by actions. That's why I
Trial
did
and
a lot
error.
of mistakes. Yes, so I did a lot of mistakes, but it was part of the experience and it was part of the learning process. And I'm very proud of what I achieved for these 25 years. And that's why when I go to conventions in Poland and I tell fans some anecdotes and stories from the past, they are just laughing loud because crazy times, because I had to learn everything from the scratch.
So, and you, like I said, you are. This is a. Usually, I have here my. I don't know if you can see, but I have my files, which is for designer, for publisher, for the questions that I usually ask. And with you, I have to have a mix. I have to go all over the board because there are it's different hats. The designer is one hat, the publisher is one hat. The now you I don't know how old it is, but I think it has a few years. Is PortalCon? You're doing PortalCon,
Yep.
which is your publisher's convention practically. Um, um, is it hard to have all these hats on? Have you learned to take one off, put the other one on?
I was one man army for a long time. Now the company has 26 employees. It's a big European company, and I don't need to wear all these hats. But back then there was me and Michael Orak, two friends. Then I hired the third person, Marcin Blaha, and there was three guys trying to make a career, trying to make something revolutionary. And I had to be a publisher, and I had to be a salesman, and I had to be a convention attendee when I was presenting games at the conventions, and I had to design these games because I was only me and the two of my friends. So that was part of the experience because there were no other options. On the other hand, I'm a very energetic. I mean, at least I was a very energetic person. I really loved what I was doing. I was very passionate about this. So I was happy to go for conventions to present my games. I was happy to do seminars at conventions to do to talk about my games. I was happy designing new games. I was happy testing games. So of course, I was like a happy kid in a toy store. Like everything was sexy, everything was super interesting, and designing games was interesting. And going to the manufacturer and seeing your new product being printed was super amazing moment when you get these new books. And meeting with the other writers and designers and illustrators and brainstorming with the illustrators how you want your game to look like. Every part of the process was super interesting for me because I was a geek. I was absolutely loving it. So, on one hand, it was difficult, and I'm classic example of a workaholic. I was working for my whole life, all day long with from the morning till the late night, including weekends. I was just living the being the part of the company. So on one hand, it was difficult. On the other hand, everything was super amazing. It was amazing to go for the first time to Asset. It was amazing to go for the first time to Gen Con. It was amazing to get Golden Geek Hour. Like all these pounds were super fulfilling. They were giving me more energy and more dreams to achieve. And I was just doing my best to achieve them. So yes, it would be easier if I was only designer, if I was only publisher, if I was only, I don't know, marketing dude. But I loved every part of this adventure, and that's why I had all the hats on my head.
uh, as you say, you learned while you uh, on the fly. Um, let's go a bit into the designing part of your history. When you started designing, did you had any philosophy, and has it changed meanwhile?
There was no like a written down points of philosophy, so there was not like a testimony of what I want to achieve. But if you look at my games, if you look at the career, you can clearly see there is like a pattern of what I do, and you can clearly see that before I did board games, I was a role-playing gamer. I was doing stories. I was doing role-playing games because from the very first games internationally, people know Stronghold. Before Stronghold, I did Zombiaki, the small card game, and then I did Pret-a-Porter and other games. And in each of these games, you see that the designer first had a topic of the game, and then he made a note what would be cool doing this topic, and then he came up with the rules. Like you can clearly see that I was designing these games first, making a lot of notes and sketches. What would be awesome to invade castle, or what would be awesome when you run a company in a fashion industry, or what would be awesome if you are on the cursed island and you need to survive. So first, I was making a lot of these notes, like I was just preparing game session, like I'm a game master. Preparing adventure for the players, and then when I had all these nodes and I knew what would be amazing in this game, then I started changing these nodes into the rules. So you can clearly see that maybe, as I said, there was nothing written, that this is my philosophy, but you can clearly see that every game I did was done in the same exactly way. First, create a great story, came with the ideas for the amazing experience the players will have in terms of the what is happening in this game, and then please design the rules for that.
Um, so and you are today, if you would, because you have, I think there is, I don't know if you came out with a game in a while. Today, if you're designing, do you have the same points you want to hit?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on a break right now, so I'm not designing nothing new, but this is exactly, I said it in one of some of the seminars for the designers when I was doing workshops at the conventions, that the mechanism of the game, the rules of the game are just the tools, like a hammer, like a screwdriver, like just the tools when you are building a house. So when you are building a house, what's interesting is the house, not the tools that you use to build it. Like nobody asked you about what screwdriver you were using. They are just looking at the final house. So I never paid attention to if I'm using deck builder or if I'm using worker placement. Like, I didn't care. Like I was so focused on creating a great experience that I didn't pay attention what I'm actually using, what rules. So most of my games are using just worker placement because this is super easy mechanism. When I designed Robinson Crusoe from the reviews, from the reviewers, I learned that I use deck building because I was not aware of that. That actually Robinson Crusoe uses deck building mechanism, taking adventure cards and putting them into event deck. This is deck building. I didn't know that when I was doing that. So basically, mm, uh, I'm not designing a game right now, but if I design a game right now, once again, I would completely ignore the fancy words like drafting or like this role selection or whatever. I don't care. I just create a great experience.
I see. Um, do you the games that, I suppose that the games that come to Portal Games from other designers should hit these points also, right?
Yes, the game that we are releasing this year at Essen, called
Bohemians.
Bohemians.
Yeah.
Yes, this is exactly the case that mm, uh, when the designer pitched the game to me, he sent me an email and he said that he has a game that you are the artist in the Paris and you want to make a career and you are going to create pieces of art, and that sounds super boring for me. And I was about to tell him that I'm Ignacy Trzewiczek from Portal Games and I do Narushima Hex and Stronghold and epic board games, not some stupid game about being an artist, and it is boring. But before I wrote this email
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
him,
We made a game about dresses.
I saw the video because he attached the video to the email presenting the game, and when watched the video, I saw that this game maybe has a weird topic, being an artist, but it has amazing story. This is perfectly Portal Games style. And when he was presenting how he plays the game, that he's going to define the focus of the leg, and then he meets with the lover to get inspiration, and then he creates some poetry, and from the poetry he gets the inspiration that allows him to learn new techniques, etc., etc. And I said, man, this is a you are telling me a story. And so I asked him to see the prototype. We played the prototype. We absolutely loved it. So Bohemians is 100% true Portal Games title. Like you don't care what mechanism it uses. You don't care about the rules. You care about what's happening in the gameplay, and in the gameplay you are being a freaking artist making a career, and this is insanely fun.
Okay. Um, and now when you're talking, you're talking from a publisher's point of view, and also I think from a developer's point of view. Uh, you also you, you learned how to put this hat on. I think it's easier to be a developer for someone else's games, but to be a developer for your own games, was that easy?
For doing being a developer for my games, it was easy. For being developer for other designers games was very difficult. I was not very good developer for years. I think that Bohemians right now is my highlight of how I was a good developer. I'm a super complaining dude. Like I complain a lot. I don't like everything. Like everything sucks. Everything can be better. Like I'm very, very complaining. So complaining on my own games, and when playtesters were telling it's good, and I was saying no, it sucks, and I was changing the game. So being very, very complaining on my designs was okay. It was easy, and I had no problem with that. When I was complaining on other designers' games and trying to fix them, of course, it is a different part of the job, and it was difficult to mm, uh, fix the games and fix the problems for other players' games, other designers' games, because you need to convince them and tell them how to fix it, etc., etc.
In the end, it is a gut game. It's not a very mathematical game. You have a bit of engineering behind, but it's also
Yes,
a bit of a gut game. It's if you feel it or not. Um, how do you know, and do you ever know that a game will be a hit or a flop?
of course no, of course no. Like we don't have magic wand to see the future. So obviously, every game that I publish, every game that I release, every game that I do, I believe it will be the best game of the year, and it will win all the awards, and it is freaking amazing. And then I release it, and for some games it's true, and they get awards and attention of the gamers, and sometimes they just disappear on the market. Nobody likes them. Of course. Uh, when you look at my CV and see that I designed Repair Settlers or Robinson Crusoe or Detective, so whoa, this guy is good. He had so many great games. I made also games that suck and nobody liked them. And Rattle Battle Grab the Loot was not very popular with people when I designed it. The first Martians had a lot of issues and people hated it for years. So uh, every game that I do, I believe it will be amazing. And then it's true, like 50% of the time. Not always though. Not always.
It's a roll of a coin. Um, so how much do you play test? How many play tests do you do before you're saying it's good to go?
It's very very different for each game,
Of course.
and it is good to go when it has to go to manufacturer. So like I play test as many times as I can before it goes to print, and then it has to go to print, and I cannot change the date because it is released for the Gen Con, it is released for the Essence, etc. So Mm, uh, but some games are easier to play test. Some games are harder to play test. Like for instance, one of the last games I designed, Empires of the North. We had just a few playtests. Like the game from the very start was working very well. I created a prototype. It worked. I was working on this game with Jana Kijanka, my developer back then. She created a couple of decks, and it went very very smooth. Like we were done with this game in a couple of weeks. Very very simple. And then on the other hand, you have other games like First Martians, 2 years of playtesting and creating and changing the game. So of course, every game is very, very different, and the message for the designers and for the young publishers, when it has to go to print, it has to go to print. It's as simple as that. And so you play test as many times as you can, and then you send it to print, and there is no going back.
Um, when you develop, do you have the or design or develop also as a publisher? Do you try to balance? Let's talk a bit about balance and what's balancing in a game. Um, how can you assure a good balance, and how do you approach balance into a board game?
Balance is the, I say in my workshop for the designers when I go at the conventions, balance is the simplest way to the simplest puzzle to achieve. It's mm, it's super easy to do, and designers should not pay attention whatsoever to this part. Like balancing the game is the last part. So the most difficult part is to create interesting game. The difficult part is to create engaging game, fun game, and when you have engaging, fun, interesting, innovative game, you made it. And balance is just the last part of it. It's super simple for me. It was always giving the prototype to my playtester group, the Eurogamers who love to do maths and calculations. And I was just giving them prototype and taking it back after 4 weeks, and it was balanced after many games done by them. For most of my games, I didn't do balancing. Like in Setters, 51st State, you mentioned, like all these games were just like, it's super simple to balance. It's just mathematics, statistics. So you just play a couple of times, you tweak a little bit here and there. In every workshop for the designers, I say, don't care for the balance. Balance is the last step, last final moment. Create interesting game, and don't be afraid of the balancing. It's an easy task.
Why am I asking you that? Because you have mentioned 51st State. There are multiple ways of balancing because there are multiple types of games. There are the multiplayer solitaires where balancing means one thing, and there is 51st State, for example, where balancing it cannot be done in the same way. Uh, s-
In
it's
51st state, it's super simple. In 51st state, obviously there are cards that are stronger and cards that are not that strong. Of course, I was balancing it a little bit by distance. So the more powerful cards have a distance 3, the less powerful cards have a distance of 1. But still, production of one iron is less sexy than production of the one brick, because brick allows you to redevelopment, and production of one fuel is even less important, because at least iron allows you to build the locations into the place. So these cards are not balanced in some way. But then you have a draft, so everybody is drafting cards, so you have a balancing. Then you can attack each other, so you have a self-balance. So therefore, with this 100 or more cards, with the whole mix of the cards, more expensive, less expensive, more powerful, less powerful, and with the drafting and attack each other, the game self-balance. And once again, super, super simple to achieve. And we are not running tournaments of 51st State because it's a little bit too long for the tournaments. But I'm pretty confident that there's no issues there.
um, yeah, this is a game I really like and I enjoy playing two players. Um, so as you were saying, you have to balance this in a way self balancing because players attacks are it's one thing. If you have a multiplayer server, then you would have to balance every possible route to the end to be sure that. Everything is different, and I was curious how do you because in a way you also when you think about it because things are so interlocked, then you go into randomness. How can you create this balance with having also randomness in your game that it's not that the game does not become stale, does not become the same game every time you play.
Yeah, but of course, this is a we can do this 1 hour discussion only on balancing, but just in a short words, like in a card games, on purpose, in every single card game that I designed or developed, I create some super crazy powerful cards that create a moment for the players when they play,
I
and then
I was speaking more about
you
the
will see
randomness
you,
of it.
you will yeah, and once a while you will draw a couple of cards that make together such a crazy synergy, then you will just get the 100 points, and it feels awesome. And I don't care if your opponent will tell, oh, this is not balanced, this game is stupid. I don't care. You had amazing time, you had these few cards that just created a super awesome combo, you will remember it for years. Good for you. And in the card games, because of the randomness, it will happen. And the more crazy, amazing cards in the game, the more powerful, amazing cards in the game, the more moments like that. And as you said, it's self-balanced, because the randomness, sometimes you get this card, sometimes you get other cards, sometimes you have powerful combo, sometimes you have a less powerful combo. But you're enjoying and you're looking for these combos. You're looking for this moment to draw this couple of cards and create something amazing. And in Imperial Settlers, in each deck of Imperial Settlers, we have each deck of Imperial Settlers has 9 crazy cards that are very powerful. And if you draw one of these cards, your game will be different than other game. And I on purpose put these 9 for each deck, 9 very powerful cards that change the whole dynamic of the game. Here in Bohemia that we are developing, there are also couple of cards that are super amazing. When you draw them, you say, man, I think I will win. But of course, there's more of cards like that, not only one card. And therefore, every player will get some of these cards and will create combos. So, once again, balancing in card games is just giving players lots of amazing options to just basically break the game. And because everybody's breaking the game with these amazing combos, this is when adrenaline and awesome moments kick in.
Yeah, my question was more, how do you also or how do you create on the quest of trying to balance a bit things, how do you approach randomness on, because you have made these card games with cards, it's like you explained, but if you create, I don't know, a worker placement game or a game with more fixed paths, let's say, towards victory, how do you manage to create enough randomness so the game does not become stale after 3, 4, 5, 10 plays?
Yeah, of course. Once again, this is a longer topic to discuss every game separate, because in every game it's done a little bit different. If you know the best 51st state, so you know that 51st state has 88 cards that are basic cards that the heavy gear and gun shop, etc., etc. So basic cards that you need to have in a game that the game works, the basic production cards and basic victory point cards. And then you give us spices additional. So you give either 50 cards of new era or 50 cards of winter or 50 cards of allies expansion, and it changes the game. So in terms of the 51st state randomness, how to manage randomness, I have always 80 cards that work
With
well
cards it's
together. That
simpler. Sorry to interrupt you.
yes,
With cards, it's simpler because you already have cards. Cards means randomness. Drawing a card means randomness. I'm speaking more towards games that have everything in front of you. That have you kind of have you don't draw a lot of cards. You don't draw when you draw a card is randomness. When you roll a die is randomness. It's easy to add randomness, but to a more let's call it static design, more like
as we discussed like before, like I cheat and basically I don't care for the mechanism, and basically I have a cards everything. Like if you look at the stronghold, the first design,
yeah,
you have
yeah.
cards with different war machines. You got at the Pret-a-Porter, you have cards with different employees and different contracts. Then you look at the Imperial Settlers, you have cards with different abilities, and you go to my whole career, Robinson Crusoe, different cards with adventures, different cards with the event. So basically I'm using cards in almost every single design. And then if you have an interview with Stefan Feld, or if you have interviewed Rainer Knizia or Uwe Rosenberg, who does all these Euro games, I don't know how they do it. Like I don't play many Euro games. I find them not enough engaging for me because of lack of the surprise. Of course, there is a lot of great Euro games that I have in collection. I love Barrage. I love underwater cities, etc., etc. But for the classic Euro games, when they don't have many tools for the randomness, it is a little bit boring for me. For me, like the famous game from my industry friend William Attia, that is Kylus.
Kalos. Okay.
Kylus has no randomness, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I didn't find it engaging. I didn't find it super interesting. Of course, I played it a couple of times. I appreciate the design. It is one of the most famous games out there, but it was not enough replayability for me, and I haven't played it yet. So more. So once again, I'm cheating in my game designs. In most of my games, I have cards because they allow me to do randomness.
I see. Of course, all of your games have interaction. A thing that some famous reviewers have a problem with the interaction. How do you fare? What do you think of interaction in games, and do you find it um, um, uh, necessary for your designs?
It's very important for me, and I want to interact. I want to do some trash talk at the table. I want to mock my opponents. I find playing board game as a social event in which we discuss and have argument and trash each other, and not just sitting calmly at the table and doing our own combos. And then after 1 hour sitting in autistic way, see who got the most victory points. But obviously, once again, the industry is great. The whole board game sphere is very wide, and there's many gamers, many approaches. I have a lot of friends who play with their wives, and they say, wife don't like when I attack her, so I cannot play your games. So of course we have different approaches. We have different gamers. Some gamers look for the interesting puzzle and they want to create the puzzle in front of them and they don't want to get it attacked. And some players who look for the interaction, then discussions and attacking each other. I'm a big miniature game player. I play a lot of miniature strategy games. So I like to roll dice and kill opponents on the battlefield. So interaction is very important for me because as we can see, I love to talk. I love to discuss. I love to trash talk. So I don't like games in which we are just creating our own puzzle and then at the end of the game we check who got the best puzzle and who got the most victory points. This
I
is not
see.
my approach, but absolutely my approach is not the best. It is one of many,
Of course. Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. Of
everybody
course, of course.
should
It's
find their one.
logical. It's logical. Yeah. You don't need to, yeah, excuse yourself. What today do you play games? Do you play other designers games? Do you or you are solely focused on what to develop and what you publish?
Yes, for the past few years when I got a break from game design, I play less board games. I'm a little bit burned out after playing these thousands probably of board games already. But if you are talking about the last 2 decades, last 20 years, of course, I played basically everything, like every new game that was released, and I had a chance to play it. I was playtesting, I was testing, I was checking what's happening, what's the new design from Eric Lang, what's the new design from Rainer Knizia, what's the new design from Uwe Rosenberg. I was checking everything. I was checking the new Japanese games, new Italian designers. Like I was playing a lot. Once again, I'm a little bit tired right now, so I play less these days. I get back to playing role-playing games, my roots, my childhood, my teenager times. So I play role-playing games again. I played a lot of miniature games because when I was at college, I had a big passion for the miniature games, so I'm playing miniature games every weekend these days. I start playing war games 3 years ago, so I'm very deep in playing GMT games and DVD games. So the games about the Second World War, and other historical designs. So I play less of the modern games these days, but less still means much more the usual player. For me, less means that still every week I play 2 or 3 new games because we have so many samples in the company. We have so many new games to check. So back then I played every day 1 or 2 games, and now I play every week 1 or 2 new games. And yes, that was my passion for years. And basically, we designers like to play each other games. I like to see what Eric Lang created. Eric Lang wants to see what I created, and we exchange text messages and we congratulate each other, and we like to see what's happening, and we want to see new designers, new talents in the industry. So yes, basically, designers play a lot of the games. I played a ton of games, and now I still play a lot.
I see. And can I ask what is fun to you in games?
Fun?
Fun, yeah. What is fun to you in games?
Of course, once again, super difficult to answer, in one way. On one hand, I like this moment when I see some. interesting choice happening in the board and I see, oh my God, this is amazing. And I'm deciding to do something cool and it opens a new space for the getting victory points or crushing my opponent. So these moments of adrenaline when I see that something happened very cool. But then on the other hand, when I play Bonanza and I just laugh loud and convince players to do a deal with me and social interaction or playing resistance and blaming somebody that he's a traitor, even though I know I am a traitor. So these social moments are pure fun for me, and I love to play games like that. And then, of course, as I mentioned, I love just having my cards in my hand and creating combos. So there's a lot of fun in board gaming and lots of different ways of getting fun. That's why I played so many different games. Like I play my Euro games to create these amazing choices, strategy choices. I play role-playing games to have just interaction with my friends and have some thematic stories. I play miniature games to crush my opponents and just roll these d6s and see that I killed his unit. So there's each game or game genre gives a little bit a different experience, a different way of fun. And because I'm a geek and I'm a crazy geek, I play role-playing games for something else. I play miniature games for something else. I play Euro games for something else. I play Ameritrash for something else. And with my whole collection of hundreds of different games at home, I got different fun at different point of the month or year from different games, and I'm always looking for some new experiences.
Cool. Uh, uh, you do PortalCon as one who has started to do a we call it I call it a festival here, a festival of board games. We are at next year is going to be our third edition. Uh, do you find it easy to create a game con or we call it a festival?
I find it easy because I'm doing it for 25 years. I started my first convention I did when I was in a college. So it was in 1998, many years ago, and I was doing some small conventions back then. And then I founded a company. I did a convention called Dracul, and it was a couple of editions of Dracul, and then I did the Pionek, the first board game convention in Poland, and I did more than 20 editions of this festival, and then I came up with the PortalCon, and we did like I don't know 15 editions of PortalCon already. So I'm doing conventions for my whole life, and I know how to do it, and I know how to do it well. So it's pretty easy for me, but it is not easy. Like of course, as a person who works in the industry for 25 years, I visited hundreds or maybe even thousands of different conventions all over the place in Poland, in Germany, in Spain, in Italy. Like I was visiting so many different conventions in my life, and I saw amazing conventions and I saw terrible conventions. And I know that it is not easy for somebody to do their first convention or second convention. You have to learn the tricks, learn how to prepare everything. So it is not easy to make convention. For me, due to the experience I had over these 20 years, it's easy. I know how to make it. I love creating conventions. As I said, I was creating them for my whole life. I did many conventions in my life, and I love the moment when I uh, am at my convention and I see all these happy faces playing games, going to the seminars, running around the corridors, just smiled because they are at the con, they are at the amazing weekend, and creating this experience for them is very fulfilling. It makes me happy to see happy people during the weekend because of my work and my team.
Yeah. Um, one as a publisher, I want to ask you one more question. Are you for um, crowdfunding or the classical retail route, distribution route?
I I prefer a regular release. Crowdfunding is very important. Sometimes my company, sorry, needs to use it. So sometimes we do crowdfunding, but it's difficult, and I'm not a fan of crowdfunding. So if I have a chance, if you ask me, mm, I prefer to not do crowdfunding campaigns. Uh, it's a lot of problems, and of course you got hype, you got the exposition, you got the upfront money. but I'm not a big fan of crowdfunding in general.
I see. Do you think it, in a way, it does some damage to the industry?
It changed the industry for sure. For you, for the players, it made the publishers create better components because that's how it all started at Kickstarter. So you guys, you players have now much better components. It would be not the case without the Kickstarter. Uh, but once again, I'm not a big fan of crowdfunding. It makes a lot of problem. You have first to create the hype and presentation of the game before release. So there's lots of work to do. You are basically selling cat in the sack. Nobody played the game except some paid reviewers. So you're just basically promising that this game is amazing, but nobody actually can check it. Then the game releases. There is no hype no longer because the campaign is over. Like once again, I'm not a fan of crowdfunding. I did it a couple of times. I'm not sure if I will do it many times again because I'm not a fan. I prefer to create a game, design a game, send it to the stores, let players check it at the conventions, let players check it at the game stores, buy it and hopefully like it. This is the traditional way. I'm old. I am almost 50 years old, and I prefer traditional. Create the game, produce the game, send to the retailers.
Um, and right now you are, I think you are not longer the CEO of Portal Games. You don't hold that title, but you are still involved in the company. In the company you have created. Um, um, do you have any ideas to retreat, to go out of the company, or you intend to keep it, to move along with it and hopefully develop it more?
I'm not involved anymore too much. Like 2 years ago, I stepped down as a CEO of the company, and for these 2 years, I was mm, uh, going more and more and more behind the scenes to the moment that at this point I'm only once a week in the company, so only on Mondays I'm in the company. I'm responsible only for Porta Games USA, so our American division, and I do some marketing calls with the distributors, etc. But basically, only this small part of the actions, and I'm of course, developing games like mentioned before, Bohemians. But because Portal Games is releasing one or two games a year, so there's not much work to create one or two games and develop one or two games a year. So basically, for the most of the time, I'm not involved in Portal Games whatsoever. I do my personal projects here in Poland. I started a YouTube channel. I have almost 10,000 subscribers. We release 3 movies, 3 videos a week. So a lot of work there. I have my personal blog when I write essays about board game design, and I basically do gaming and reading and some crazy projects. So. mm 2 years ago, there was decision that I will be stepping down, and I stepped down from the CEO. And over these 2 years, I managed to basically not be involved in the company anymore. Like the new CEO, Grzegorz Polewka, is doing fantastic job. The company grew significantly over these 2 years. Like he's running the company much better than I did in some regards. Like he's doing maybe a less revolutionary, crazy ideas. So the company maybe is not, doing some new endeavors like we used to do. Like there's no new project like for the first time at Gen Con, for the first time at Desert, for the first that is maybe no longer for the first times. But on the other hand, the company is working so smooth, is growing, is bringing a lot of revenue. The employees are very happy working at the company. The atmosphere in the company is amazing. So he grew the company over these 2 years, and there is no reason for me to get back and be again involved in a bigger scale. I'm just sitting, watching how the company is operating, and I'm very, very proud. And I do my personal projects.
Uh, You should be proud. You have a lot of things to be proud of. Um,
Thank you.
what can you? We'll do a some fast questions. What is your most played game?
Game that I played the
The
most.
most, yeah,
Uh,
outside yours.
yeah,
That's what.
yeah. Of course, it is difficult to say because I started the BG Stats like 4 years ago, so this is statistics only from couple of years. Uh, so if we change this question to the what is my most played games in the past 4 years, that would be uh, all time Arkham Horror, the card game.
Arkham Horror, the card game. Yeah, you can play solo a
Arkham
lot.
Horror.
That one.
I played it solo and I played it with my daughter as a two-player variant. So I played it in these two ways. I played many campaigns. I think it's one of the best games on the market. I absolutely love it, and I strongly recommend everyone who likes great stories in games. Arkham Horror is one of the best games out there, and I have a ton of games in my app noted.
Yeah, I've heard that one. Um, yes, and do you have a favorite game? You say it's
Oh,
your.
this is a No, this is difficult. Like as we were discussing, like on one hand, I can list the bonanza of resistance for the social deduction games, and then we can discuss what is my favorite Euro game, and this will be Lewis and Clark. And then we can discuss what is my favorite card game. It will be probably Arkham Horror, but this is cooperative game, so we can discuss what is my competitive favorite card game, and etc. etc. So, of course, with thousands of games played and with hundreds of games at home, it is for each game night,
Occasion. For each
it is
occasion,
different.
it might be different. Yeah.
Yes, it is different. But of course, yes, I have my beloved games that I admire and respect designers mm, uh, and there's lots of games that I absolutely adore and respect and respect designers.
Do you have a favorite designer? A designer which you like, which you admire a lot? Maybe.
This is the same question. Like on one hand, Eric Lang, my industry friend, created one of the best games I played in my life, and he's so nice and kind person, and he helped me a lot. And then there is Bruno Catala, the most funny and witty designer that I never ever met, and he created Five Tribes, amazing game. And then you have Bruno Faidu, like there is so many amazing designers, and because I had a chance and honor to meet many of them, um, so I not only know them by game design, but I know them
As a person.
personally,
Yeah.
which adds another layer and another amazing experiences. So, bottom line, if you ask me if there is designer that I don't like, which you don't ask me, and this is good that you don't ask me, but
No,
there
I
is
don't. That's it.
no one. Like there is so many designers that are nice and funny and smart, and I respect them for their work. So mm, this is being in this industry. Like I have never been in different industry. Like I dropped the college and started board gaming, right, role playing games. So I don't know how it is in the different industries, but in my industry, other publishers and other designers, on one hand, of course, are competitors because we want to sell our games. But on the other hand, I'm a fan of them. Like I'm a fan of Eric Lang, who is my friend. I'm a fan of Bruno Catala, who is my friend. I'm a fan of Bruno Faiduti, who is my friend. Like this is amazing that we can be friendly competitors and fight for the revenue and sales of the games, and at the same time we can admire each other and respect each other. And when there's new game. Uh, from the famous designer. I'm looking forward to try it and to send him message on Facebook or text message. Congratulates is amazing. I played it already. I'm working in a very cool industry when we are competitors, but we are friends, and it's amazing.
I see. And um, do you like you collaborated on some designs, but it's usually a design on your own. Do you like a collaborative process or
I'm not a good at collaboration. Like my ego is too big and I'm impatient. So if I need to change something, I have no patience to discuss it and convince other designer that I have a great idea. I just want to do it. So I'm not a good in a collaboration. I had a great time working with John Kijanka back then with a couple of designs, but basically I'm a person who wants to do it by myself because it's a faster, simpler, and I don't want to waste time to discuss something.
Okay. And in this part, let's finish with: would you want to add something that I might not have asked you?
No, I don't know. Like we are talking for a long time, so there's all those lots of questions. We discussed the childhood, we discussed design, we discussed publishing, we discussed management topics.
Yeah, because you do all those things, and
Yep, I know.
you're ripe for me. You're ripe to, to pick. So we're gonna end with the fast questionnaire, which is yeah, it comes from Marcel Proust. And it was a bit distilled through Bernard Pivot and James Lipton. And the questionnaire starts like this: what is your favorite word? It can be in Polish also, it can be in English, whatever you want.
Word,
Yes, word.
zajebiście. Zajebiście, which translate to fucking awesome.
Zajebiście. Okay. I'll remember it next time I'm in Poland. um, what's your least favorite word?
I don't know. Nothing comes to my mind.
No, no word which you don't like? That annoys you?
No, no, no.
No? You like no, for example?
No is not a good word. That's true.
uh, what turns you on creatively, emotionally, or spiritually?
I get music. I think music.
Music.
When I design, when I write, even when I work on some marketing campaigns, I always have my Spotify on, or back then CDs, or back then MP3s, and I put a good music on, and I can work.
What turns you off?
What turns me off?
Yes.
I don't know. Like uh, nothing comes to my mind.
What's turned you off someone at some point, or I don't know, an attitude or something?
Someone I don't. work with people who lie. Like
Uh-huh.
if somebody is lying, it turns me off. Like
Instantly.
definitely. Like
Okay.
I absolutely don't accept the lying.
Okay. What is your favorite drug?
Drug?
Drug, yeah.
I don't do drugs. Like I don't
No,
do
no, no.
cigarettes.
No,
I don't do
it
coffee.
it doesn't need to be that. It doesn't need to be coffee. It does not need to be. It's something that gets you high. That's the idea. It's something that gets you going. Something that makes you jump. It does not always need to be a substance.
Yeah, so I'm probably the same as the last question, like the music. I
Music.
listen to a lot of music. I have it in my car. I have it in my here with my
So
phone. So
it's something that you cannot live without. Practically, that's what the drug is. So music seems to be a powerful drug to you.
it's important. Yeah.
What is your favorite curse word?
Curse word?
Curse word, yes. I know one Polish one. um,
Uh, and I used to curse a lot, like a lot. After years, I, I to curse less. Sometimes when I'm triggered, I use a lot of curse words. And I was always very proud of myself that I could use a lot of very interesting curse words that everybody was surprised that I can curse that way. So mm, uh, I think there's not like a one particular one that I use. When
Yeah.
I don't curse like on a regular basis, but when I'm pissed off, I get like really creative, and this is scary. But at this moment, so. I would say that maybe not even create curse words, but I use many of them in a one sentence, and this is when it means that Ignacy is angry. uh, so yeah, back then, of course, when I was younger, of course, I used the famous Polish kurwa,
Okay.
which everybody around the globe knows. But no, I would not say that is my favorite. Like I'm much more creative when I curse.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one Adam Kwapinski said also.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like it's famous for a reason. Um, what sound or noise do you love?
I don't know. I'm right now at the cottage house, and when I will go outside, I will like the sound of outside, which means village. So calm, silent, some wind in the trees. So it will make me very happy. But nothing comes to my mind like a particle noise that
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
like.
yeah.
I don't know.
It's a good answer. What sound or noise do you hate?
Nothing comes to my mind. Like I don't know, probably some technical squeezing of some machines, but I don't have it in my life. Like I don't have some stupid noises around me, so it's okay.
Which profession outside the one you already do would you like to attempt?
I almost became a stand-upper back then when I was at the college and I decided that I'm going to drop the college. My idea was to either start doing comedy or start doing games. I ended up doing games, but comedy was my of the options for the career as well.
uh, what profession, of course, would you not like to do?
Oh, I basically I'm scared of everything. So I would not be a flight attendant because I'm afraid of flying. I would be not a miner because I'm afraid of caves and going down. I would not be a I don't like I cannot swim, so I would not be a sailor. Like all the dangerous professions, or maybe not even dangerous, but in dangerous places, not for me. So there's a whole list of jobs that I would not be able to do.
I see. Uh, and my last one, and this is a big one for you, because yeah, you'll see why. If, and this is a big if, heaven exists, what would you expect God to say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I would expect to say good job. I really have feeling that I did some good stuff here for the gamers in Poland. And would be cool if he tell me you were right. That was good. You did a good job. Um, uh, but I don't know. We will see at some point if it happens.
Sir, thank you a lot for taking the time to do this interview with me. I hope it was fun for you
Absolutely.
and you had a good
Thank you for the
time.
invitation.
There is one question in chat, and it is the question is if you have a gem, a game that you consider a gem, and that should have more attention, that people should give more attention, and you like to play a game that no one talks about, but it's a beautiful game that you would speak about.
Yeah, there's a lot. I have in my collection a lot of games that were released in the early 2000s when I was getting into the hobby very deeply and I was buying a lot of games. And they have no reprints, no new editions. They are forgotten. And for the couple of last years, I started to bring these games to my local gaming club to show these older designs to people who discovered, board games 5 years ago,
Yeah,
3 years
yeah,
ago, 10 years,
yeah,
and they never heard about the Samurai from Rainer Knizia, never heard about Efra Itigris from Rainer Knizia, never played Lewis and Clark because it's out of stock for many, many years. So I have in my off because I have a collection of games at home and I have a collection of games in my office. So in my office, I have like I don't know 50 or 80 older games, and they each, in my opinion, deserve attention. Dungeon Twister, my one of the favorite games for the two players. And I could go to this pile of games. Space Dealer, the one of the first games in a real-time economic game. Like there's many of them. So yeah, it's difficult these days. We just go for the new shiny thing, a new game, new game, new game, and there is a lot of amazing games that was released 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So no particular one title comes to my mind. If I can recommend everyone one of the best Euro games out there, Lewis and Clark. If I can recommend one of the best social games, Bonanza from Uwe Rosenberg, one of his first designs before Agricola,
yeah.
before Le Havre, before Patchwork. He did a Bonanza. It's amazing. So there's a lot of gems. So when you look at the Board Game Geek database, we have so many new games, but there's also amazing, amazing games older, and I have them. Like I keep them in my collection and play them once in a while, and I love them.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. It
Absolutely,
was
thank you.
it was a big pleasure having you on today. I will close this. I'll kindly close. Ask you to not close the connection. We'll finish afterwards. I'm gonna finish it first
Absolutely.
here. Thank you again. So this was the interview with Ignacy. Hope you enjoyed it. If you, there are many more. If you like what you see, please, as always, please like, comment, subscribe, smash that subscribe button, as we say here, and Mr. Monkey says that. Um, and yeah, until next time, which will be a playthrough tomorrow night. I'm gonna say what it says there. Play a lot, play loads, have fun, and bye bye, fine folks, wherever in the world you are.